Work with 80-20 rule. Why some efforts bring huge results and most don't. Have you ever noticed that some of your efforts produce incredible results, while others feel like they barely move the needle? That's not a fluke. That's the 80-20 rule in action. Also known as the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule states that 80% of your results often come from just 20% of your efforts. This concept isn't just for business. It applies to everything in life. 80% of your happiness comes from 20% of your relationships. 80% of your income comes from 20% of your clients. 80% of your stress comes from 20% of your tasks. Jim Rohn emphasized working smarter, not just harder. And understanding how to leverage the 80-20 rule is one of the smartest moves you can make. What is the 80-20 rule? The 80-20 rule originated from an Italian economist named Vilfredo Pareto, who observed that 80% of Italy's land was owned by 20% of the people. Later, people noticed this pattern repeated in countless other areas. 80% of sales come from 20% of products. 80% of customer complaints come from 20% of problems. 80% of productivity comes from 20% of daily tasks. The core idea: not all effort is equal. Some actions produce far more value than others. Jim Rohn took this principle and simplified it beautifully. Don't get lost in the thick of thin things. Let's unpack how to apply this rule practically in your work, life, and goals. Part 2. Why most people work against the 80-20 rule. Here's the trap many fall into. We stay busy, but not necessarily productive. We check email 40 times a day, attend meetings with no clear outcomes, chase every idea instead of the right few, say yes to everything and end up burnt out. Jim warned us against majoring in minor things. Most people don't pause to ask, is this really the best use of my time, energy, or resources? Some people work 10 hours a day at a job that produces very little value, because they never paused to analyze which 20% of their work was really making the difference. When you don't know your 20%, you end up stuck in the 80% that wastes your potential. Part 3. How to identify your 20%, where the gold is. Want to make the most of your time and energy? Start identifying what tasks, people, habits, or strategies give you the highest return. Here's how. 1. Track your efforts and results. For 1 week, write down what you do every hour. Track the outcomes, not just the actions. You'll start to see patterns. Which tasks lead to progress? Which ones just fill time? To ask, what makes the biggest difference? Jim would say, results tell the truth. Look at your business, job, or goals and ask, what tasks move the needle the most? Which clients bring the most revenue? Which products or services are most profitable? Focus there. 3. Trim the fat. Once you know the 20% that drives value, eliminate, automate, or delegate the rest. Stop responding to low-priority emails immediately. Say no to meetings that aren't essential. Cut activities that feel urgent but aren't important. This is how you create space for the things that matter. Part 4. Apply the 80-20 rule in key life areas. Jim Rohn believed in a balanced life. Let's apply the 80-20 rule across key dimensions of life. In work and business, 20% of your tasks create 80% of your results. 20% of your customers generate 80% of your income. 20% of your team delivers 80% of the performance. Jim's tip: focus your coaching, energy, and resources on your top 20%. Multiply what's already working. In learning and growth, 20% of books or mentors may give you 80% of insight. Focus on high-leverage knowledge. What will improve your thinking, skills, or mindset the most? Jim's tip: don't read everything. Read the right things deeply and apply them consistently. In money management, 20% of financial habits drive 80% of wealth. Saving, investing, spending less than you earn. Forget complex strategies. Master the basics first. Jim's tip: wealth isn't an accident. It's the result of small, smart actions repeated daily. In relationships, 20% of your relationships bring you 80% of your joy or pain. Invest in people who energize you, support your growth, and challenge you in love, not drain you. Jim's tip: surround yourself with people who have vision, values, and velocity. In time management, don't spend 80% of your time on to-do lists that don't really matter. Instead, identify your critical few tasks each day and do those first. Jim's tip: either you run the day or the day runs you. Part 5. Multiply results without burning out. Jim Rohn's genius wasn't just in working hard, it was in working intelligently. Here's what happens when you apply the 80-20 rule consistently. You gain focus and clarity. You say no with confidence. You make better decisions faster. You gain more results with less stress. You create time for what truly matters: growth, joy, and contribution. In a world of hustle and noise, 80-20 is the quiet superpower of high achievers. Part 6. How to start today, step by step. Here's a simple 5-step plan to apply the 80-20 rule starting now. Step 1. Pick one area of your life to analyze. Work, money, time, relationships. Start with the one that's most frustrating. Step 2. List all your activities or inputs in that area. What do you spend your time and energy on? Step 3. Look for the 20% that gives you the most return. Circle or highlight the top few tasks, people, or habits that make the biggest difference. Step 4. Cut or delegate the rest. Simplify. Say no, let go, reclaim your time and energy. Step 5. Double down on your 20%. Schedule it. Systemize it. Improve it. Build your success on that foundation. Repeat this process every month. Refine as you grow. Final thoughts. Make the 80-20 rule a life philosophy. Working with the 80-20 rule is more than a productivity hack. It's a life strategy. Jim Rohn believed that success was the result of clear thinking, wise choices, daily disciplines. The 80-20 rule brings all three together. Time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. Use your time wisely. Focus on the few things that matter. Master the 20% that moves your life forward. And watch as the 80% of frustration, stress, and busyness begins to fade away. Action Journal. Apply the 80-20 rule reflection questions. 1. What's one area of life where you feel busy but not productive? 2. What's in your 20%, the few things that drive most of your progress? 3. What distractions or time wasters can you eliminate this week? 4. What high-value task can you commit to doing daily? Weekly challenge. Choose one important task, your 20%, and do it first thing every morning this week. Journal your results and how you feel at the end of the week.